Today, I will be sharing with you a tour of my 2023 Notion dashboard for the new year. Included is also a template to duplicate. So what we're going to do is just go through a tour of that template, which has a lot of different links, including some bullet journaling, like daily journaling, some tracking like habits, also financial tracking. Now I'm going to go through an overview of everything. It isn't going to be a tutorial necessarily of how everything functions from the ground up like I usually do, but if you are interested, I'm going to mention some past tutorials, some past articles I've written that contribute to some aspects of this dashboard, which I will link down below. And let's just get right into the tour. At the very top, I do have two different links. I have one for a glossary and one for a countdown. Now, the 2023 countdown database is just 3 different formulas to count down the year progress, the month progress, and the week progress. So this 2023 countdown is something I created last year inside of my Notion blog, and I will link the article to that. So this database is linked down to the bottom of this page. It's static, so it just as it is, it will count the year, month, and week progress for whatever year you are in. So next to that, like I said, is the glossary, and this is connecting all of my databases together, or all of the databases that have a tags property. So a tag could be something like archaeology. And in archaeology, I have type, which is just a type of glossary item. So for each one of these items, at the bottom, I do have a collection of different databases that connect to it. So this is kind of like a backlink. Number 1, I have books, quotes, and then I have 2 more here, one for Weblinks, and I do have one web link with the tag archaeology, and from my notebook. So if you are looking to use Notion for something like personal knowledge management or a complex notebook or for school, having a tag cloud like this or glossary is something that can be very, very useful. Let's take a look at the topics. So for each one of these database views, I've categorized it by the type of item via a filter. This filter just saying, for instance, for topics, type equals topic. Themes being something like attainment or desire. So if I am collecting, say, quotes from a book, like attainment here is a theme from a quote that I save. Terms, this is just general terms that have definitions. Categories, genres, this is organizing my bookshelf. And you'll notice something different with genres in that there are book covers being rolled up into each card. So for instance, classics, a genre, and I have a collection of book covers that are coming from my books that are attached to this genre. So these books are a separate database called books. All of those connections, if I just show all of my properties here, are these 4 relations here. So books, I have 2 books, quotes from a quotes database, Weblinks from a Weblinks database, and notebook from a notebook database. And from my books database, if I go to edit this property, you'll see that the type is a relation, which is how you're able to connect 2 databases together. What I've done with this relation type is created another property called book covers, and this property is called a rollup. And this is right underneath relation. So rollups require a relation. When I go to configure this rollup, I can choose the relation in my database, in this case books. And in my books database, I have a property called book covers. It's actually called cover. I selected that and just showed the original, and that will collect nice little icons of book covers in this property, which I proceeded to show in this database view via the database menu, going to properties and showing gallery book covers. I also have another section for people. This can also be helpful for a notebook. So the glossary, why I wanted to show you this first is because, as you can see, it is connecting a lot of databases together. And what this glossary will help me do is retrieve information in my workspace easily. Now going back to the dashboard, down below, we're going to skip this linked database and go right down to all of the links in my workspace. The first being the section called Productivity, and this is just the to-do list and the timesheet. So let's go to to-do. I have a list of tasks, the status, priority, difficulty, which is just a drop-down menu of from 1 to 5. I also have a progress bar, a start and due date. I do have a formula for overdue, which I'll get into. I like separating start and due date because I like giving myself a period of time to work on something. You'll also notice that I have a toggle inside of this table. So identifying contact potential participants has some subtasks. How I'm able to visualize this task and subtask in my table is via a new update from Notion. So if I go to the database menu, there's a new option for sub-item. So in sub-items, what I can do is collect a parent task as illustrated in this image up here and nest all subtasks inside, essentially breaking down big tasks into small tasks rather easily. You can go into any one of your pages and see your parent-to-child relation. So in identifying contact potential participants, if I scroll down to my subtask relation here, I can see my two subtasks have populated. So if I select collect data through surveys and interviews, it should generate my parent relationship as identify and contact potential participants, as identified in this toggle. Right now we're in collect data, the parent being identify and contact potential participants. And what I can also do inside of collecting data is actually toggle down, add a new sub-item under here, and then give this task a name to break down this task even further. And you'll notice the subtask over in the body of the page has also populated. Give this task a name. And if I were to delete this task, this toggle would gray out. You'll also notice that progress bar. Now, if I were to change this task to completed, you'll notice it has shifted down here, but the progress has not changed to 100%. And that's because inside of this task, I have a subtask that has not been completed. Not until I complete that subtask will it change to 100%. Of course, if there's any task that does not have subtasks, I simply just change the status to completed and the progress will change to 100%. And you'll notice over here, we have an overdue checkbox. This is a formula that simply states the due date is in the past and the status is not complete. So if I were to change my due date to in the past, maybe the 30th of December, and the status is still in progress, you'll see that overdue has checked true. I have another formula called to do. You see that this to do formula is checked as well, and that's because between the start and the due date, the day of today lands between these two dates, either on the start or on the due date or in between. So I'm currently in the working period of this task. Now I have another section here for timeline. This is just another way of viewing tasks, and I mostly just wanted to show you that that sub-item feature can also be used in timeline. So you'll see identifying contact potential participants. If I toggle down, I can see all of these tasks inside. And if you're unfamiliar with timeline, this red line here is just indicating today. You see all the dates up here at the top. And each one of these tasks are ranging from the start date to the due date. And what's nice about timeline is you can drag these date ranges. Now I have other database views, including get to work. In the filter, I have a rule that states to do is checked. So these are just all of the items that I need to do. I also have quick tasks. This is a different set of tasks that are not tasks associated with bigger projects or goals. These are just small, like appointments, do laundry, things like that, things around the house. So you'll notice in every one of these views, there's a filter that states that status is not archived. So whenever I do change a completed task to an archived task, it will disappear from all of these views and appear in archived. This helps clean up my task view, especially older tasks. And then I have a section for ideas of different ideas that I want to add to my task manager, but I don't quite want to commit to adding them to the calendar. The filter here just simply states that the type is not either a task or a quick task yet. I can add a new idea here really quickly, and inside of lists now, you can actually edit a list item and write a new idea here. Now, if I want to change this idea to a task, just make sure that the body of the page is empty. And inside here, I can choose one of my templates, either to create a new task or a new quick task. So let's change this to a new task. And if I just go to task details, you'll see write a new idea here has added to my task details list. And I can go ahead and add a due date and a start date and a priority and difficulty and so on. Going into that page again, you'll also notice when I clicked that template that two different things showed up. A subtasks toggle where I can go ahead and add subtasks from the body of the page or just simply view them here, and a timesheet section. So let's say I've worked on this task today between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and I want to track the hours I worked, maybe because I am a freelancer and I'm working per hour for a client, or I simply just want to track my productivity. I would add a new section in the body of the page here in this table, click the day that I worked on it, today, select end date and include time, so from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., and that would be 1 hour. And you'll see that hours has now calculated. This is a formula. And at the bottom of the table, as I add new work sessions, it will calculate the sum of hours worked on this particular task. You'll also see a little trash can called archive. If I select this, it will just disappear from my page. And where you'll find that is inside of the timesheet database, which I can navigate to right now. So under to do, we have timesheet. This is where we're collecting all of those work sessions inside of one table. This is the work session I just created, connected to that task. The time spent between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., the hours spent, but I also have another section called invoice per hour. And let's say per hour, this will be invoiced at $35. An invoice formula will calculate the total amount to invoice to the client. There's another section for task due. So right now, write a new idea here doesn't have an end date or a due date. But let's say that I wanted to start working on this on the 29th of December and I wanted to end on the 2nd of January. So now if I click away, you'll see that task due now populates as in 2 days. Again, when I'm done with this work session, I want to archive it. I can just select that trash can, go into the archived section, and see all of my archived work sessions via the month and the year in a toggle. I also have another page just for my ideas. So this is linking from my to-do list and that section for ideas. And I can just add new ideas here in the same way via this list. So why I want to put it in a separate page is because I do want to use the new Notion AI feature. Not everyone has it, but I think a lot more people have it now from my last video, where I can use the AI feature, brainstorm ideas, to brainstorm Notion template ideas, maybe for my blog. And now I have a list of pretty good ideas that I can then drag into this list. Like develop a template for outlining a marketing plan. Just drag this right into ideas. I can select it and also select the template new idea. And I can keep using that AI to generate new ideas. So that's pretty much my 3 main productivity databases. So you'll see up here I have a linked database to Get to Work. So inside of To Do, that Get to Work section, what I did was just copy link to that view. You'll see that link to view copied to clipboard, and simply went to my dashboard and pasted and created a new linked database for Get to Work. And I hid some of these properties here, hide and view, until I was left with days left and progress. And you'll notice that these lines here, these vertical lines, can also be hidden. So if I go to the database menu, this is also a 2022 update, and go to layout, there is an option to show vertical lines. So that gives you a more minimal look. So inside my dashboard, I can quickly see via this filter here all of the tasks that I need to do right now or are overdue, the days left to the due date, and my progress bar. There's another section in this linked database, which is quick tasks. And that's also grabbing my quick tasks from the to-do list. And again, quick tasks are like quick household chores that have nothing to do with bigger projects. All of my tracking databases, from my reading log, fitness, food diary, and finances, are connected to monthly pages. I have a database for January to December down here. So if I were to click through to January, just like I have a ton of databases connected to my glossary, I do also have a ton of databases connected to months and each month. So if I go down to the body of the page of January, you'll see in day pages, habits, water, coffees drank, the mood I was in for each day. These are day pages, every row being a new day. My reading log for January as well, fitness, food diary, and I'll get into all of these databases. And then down below I have a section for finances, like my budget for January, expenses from January, fixed income, side hustle, and gifts. I'll go into all of my months and all of these analytics up here at the top at the end. So like I said, all of these tracking databases are connected to each month. In day pages, each database view at the top is a new month of the year. And each new month has a filter that simply says this month relation, type relation, to my month database is going to be filled with January. And the name is going to start with 01/. You'll see that the name is dates. So if I were to add a new row here, it should give me automatically connecting to January, 01/, and I can go 08/2023. You'll see as I typed in that date, the actual date formula here is generating a date property for January 8th. Then I can go ahead and tick off my habits, which should trigger this completion rate progress bar. Come over to the water, or the ounces I drank that day, 100, the amount of coffees, and then my mood. I would also like to start journaling in the new year. So for each day, I have a template. And that template just gives me a thoughtful daily journal prompt. It gives me a list of questions so that in the body of the page, I can write a journal entry easier. So that's for journaling. The next tracking database I have is for reading. So just like my timesheet that's connected to a to-do list, my reading sessions or my reading log is connected to a bookshelf. So if I add a new row, reading session will automatically populate. I just have to give the date range and date include time that I was reading. So for maybe 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So that's right here. You'll notice it is automatically connected to January because I'm in the January section. Also, the book I can select via a relationship to my bookshelf. Maybe I read The Beautiful and the Damned. You'll notice that the hours section has now populated to 2 hours of reading. I can say how many pages that I read. Let's say 180 pages. And then pages per minute is simply calculating roughly how many pages I was reading per minute. What I can also do is navigate to the book, The Beautiful and the Damned, inside of my bookshelf, open as a full page, and I can see my reading sessions just like I can see in my timesheet working sessions in a to-do list. I can see my reading sessions in the body of a book page, which I can also add to. So let's actually navigate to books. And I'll navigate to this via the dashboard. So down in collecting, I'm collecting books here. So each one of my database views, one is for physical books that I'm adding to my bookshelf. One is for digital books, books on ebook. And I also have a section for categorizing my books by genre and by ratings. So in physical books, let's look at The Beautiful and the Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have a cover image here. When I showed you rolling up those cover images in my glossary, this is that property that I was grabbing. I have a type for physical or digital, author, which is a drop-down menu, the year the book was written, the number of pages in the book. This will help me calculate the progress read in the book, rating, just a simple 5-star rating, summary of the book, genres, and progress bar. I can open up 2 other properties here, and what's helping me generate this progress bar formula is I can look at the total pages in the book, 388, and from my reading log, which is a relation property to my reading log database we just looked at, I can create a roll-up called pages read. So this type roll-up relation I'm grabbing from is reading log. I have 3 different relationships coming from my bookshelf. Genres, which is going to the glossary. Quotes, which is going to a quotes database. And reading log, which is the one we just looked at. So I'm selecting reading log and just looking at the pages read. That's the number of pages read from the reading log, and then just calculating the sum. That's giving me a number, and I'm showing as a number. So I've read 355, and I'm able to make this calculation to create this progress bar. I also have this genres relationship that I just said, which is connecting to the glossary. And I can add a new genre via this plus button here, link another page, and go and look or add a new genre from here. So I can add a new genre as well. Add new genre in glossary. If I go to that new genre page, this will be inside of my glossary database, and I'll be able to see it in here. Give it a type, genre, and it should also be located in my genres section as well. I also have a database for quote collection. Like I said, this is related to my bookshelf as well. And down here in quotes, I can collect quotes and the location they are in the book. So by opening up this page here, I have a quote from the book connected to this book, the created time, and the location, which is just a text property. And I can also connect each quote to the glossary. See, I've connected a theme, attainment and another theme desire describing this quote. I also have categorized everything by genre. So I created here a layout board view and grouped by genres, which is that relationship to the glossary. So you can group by relations. And I've also grouped by that ratings property. The next tracking database I have is for food. So this is the food diary. Just like the timesheet and the reading sessions, what I ate in these days is connected to recipes. So you'll see that recipes relationship here. And again, we have January through December, and we have a month relation here as well. And of course, each month database view is filtered to each month. And the name is what I ate. So if I add a new row here, it will automatically populate what I ate, and January, I just have to add a date, what meal I ate, and the recipe or another food that's not from a recipe. And then the calories. So if you are counting calories, you can use something like that. Now from the food diary, like I said, I'm connected to a recipes database down here in collecting. Recipes database is pretty straightforward. We have different database views for each meal type, from breakfast to dinner. And each recipe has some simple properties as well, where we have that meal type from breakfast to dinner, some ingredients, which is also a multi-select property, a link to the original article, the location of that link, which is just the web address. For this, it's allrecipes.com. And I also have prep time, cook time, and servings. Now down below, via a template, again, we have a new template for each meal, I am connecting that food diary. So maybe I want to schedule it for a later date or just log in what I ate. So in the body of the page, I have the recipe itself, an image from the website, ingredients, and directions. I also have a link via that template to my shop list, so just in case I need to buy some ingredients. If I click through, I am in my shop list database, which is a very simple checklist. When it comes to shopping lists in Notion, I try to keep it very simple with just a checkbox in a list view because it's easier to navigate on mobile. So similar to food diary, I have fitness tracking. For fitness, we have whenever I work out. So a lot of these tracking databases aren't daily. Just my daily journaling. This just happens to be whenever I want to track food or whenever I want to track fitness. This isn't like a strict regimen that I want to track daily for the next year because I probably will not do that. So for fitness, again, for each new workout or a new set, if I go to add a new row, it will say new set. I just have to fill in the date and a time if I want. And I have connected my fitness to my exercise database, where I can add new exercises or select an existing one. Track the number of reps, weights, distance if I ran, and calories burned. So I can click through maybe 2 lunges, and this should send me to my exercise database. I can open up as a page. So in each exercise page, I can look at when's the last time that I did this exercise, how many reps did I do, and so on, so I can get an activity log, right? So inside of exercises, I just have a board view. In each exercise, for instance, push-ups, there's a workout location, so what location of the body that this workout will target. And I'm just grouping in a board view, board, grouping by that select property workout location. Also, pretty straightforward, we're just collecting exercises here. So the last thing I'm tracking is finances. And this is something I went back and forth with, but considering I'm going to start Notion consulting in the new year, I figured it might be a good idea. For tracking finances, I have 3 different databases. One is a budget, And this is in the same way as everything else, where I have January through December at the top of the table. And for each view, I am connected to a month. So how I did this was for each name or each page is a new budget item. For instance, entertainment, grocery, housing. And I can just add more budget items here. You'll notice that before the budget item name, I have O1. This is indicating it's the budget for entertainment just for January. So I have the amount of the budget for the month. I also have an alert here and total spent. So for amount, I am plugging this in my budget table. For total spent, this is actually a roll-up connected to my transactions. So let's head over to expenses. That is in tracking, set up in the same way from January to December. Every new item for January, new spend item, let's say I spend it on, you'll see up here, PlayStation 5. This is connected to the month of January, the transaction date that I can plug in, and then I go and I search for my budget item. So this would be a January entertainment. Now what I've done is I created a roll-up here called budget, where I'm grabbing the budget item relation, grabbing the property amount from my budget table, and just finding the sum. I then have an alert formula. If this is a large cost item that is over the entire month's budget, it will return this alert. This item is greater than the monthly budget. So going back to budget, how I'm able to calculate the total spent for each budget item is again with a roll-up. So if I go into January entertainment, I do see all of my spend activity, first of all, which I can also add to here. So what I can do is actually use a roll-up. So in a hidden property, I have a relation called transactions, where I have a relation type to that database expenses, and I can create this roll-up called total spent, which is grabbing that relation transactions and grabbing the property cost. So that's the cost of each spend item and finding the sum. So every time I connect to O1 entertainment, I'm finding the sum of all I've spent in it. Now, if the total spent is of course greater than the budget amount, I do have an alert here that signifies over budget. So I have another formula that tells me how much I'm over budget. If I'm over by 250, maybe in February the amount, instead of being 300, should be about 100. Now I have another database for income. And my income is not as frequent, so I don't have monthly tabs up here. I just have all fixed income, side hustle, and gifts. For fixed income, it's monthly payments or bi-monthly payments from employer, type being fixed, the amount, when it was received, and then the month it's attached to. Same goes for side hustle and gifts, only that the type is a little bit different. So that is pretty much all of my tracking. So if I go back down here to my months and to January, you'll see in the body of the page again, I have all my day pages for January, the reading log, fitness, food diary, and then down below all of those finances. And again, I can add new items here as well. Now up above, I have created some analytics. So for January, I am using pretty much that roll-up property because all of these connections from my databases are via that relation property. So for finances, for example, I can roll up, let's just show all of these properties. These are all of my relations from budget to reading log, income, food diary, fitness, and expenses. So total income, I'm grabbing my income relation from the income database, creating a roll-up called total income, grabbing the property amount. and just calculating the total amount sum of income. I also have total expenses from the expenses database, where I did the same thing. Expenses, cost of those expenses, and the sum. Now what I was able to do with these two numbers is create a balance, generally. So with total income and total expenses, whatever the difference is, would be the balance. Now as for these nice progress bars, I really like these. These are a nice visual cue. So for day pages, I can calculate my mood. So because I'm connected to these day pages, I actually did a little bit of a trick here, where instead of using a select property, I've used a status property for mood, where the to-do section is a high mood and the complete is low. So the reason why I did this is so I could easily use that roll-up to create this progress bar. So in high mood, I'm calculating the percentage of the month where I have a high mood. This is using a roll-up, grabbing that relation to day pages, property being this mood, and I'm calculating percent per group. So with the status property, you can calculate per group or per to-do, in progress, or complete. So because the high mood is in to-do, all I did was go to percent per group, to-do, changed it to a bar, color green, and showing the number here. Coffee intake, I did the same thing, where I'm grabbing daily pages and I'm grabbing coffee. Now I have two different properties here. One is coffees with this nice select option with these coffees, which is nicer to look at, but harder to calculate with a roll-up. So what I did inside of these day pages is I created a formula that counts the number of emojis in each coffee selection. So what I'm able to do here is create this roll-up, grab number coffees, that formula instead, and just calculate the average. So the average number of coffees that I have drank in January is 2.7 per day. So what I'm able to do with this progress bar is show by bar that average number and then divide by 4. So let's say monthly, I don't want to really exceed 4 coffees per day. That would be my limit. I would divide by 4 so that this progress bar, if it's more towards 4, it will be higher and less will be lower. For habit completion, I'm using those check boxes from habit 1 to habit 5, and I have a completion rate formula. So I'm grabbing that completion rate inside of this roll-up, day pages completion rate, and I'm just calculating the average percentage. Showing as a bar, colored it pink, and just showed the number, which is 82%. Water intake is a number property, so I'm able to really use this easily with a roll-up, where I'm grabbing water from day pages and calculating the average water per day. Again, I can divide by the total amount of water, whatever my goal is for each day, which is 105 ounces. Now, hours reading, I can go to my reading log. This is another relation. And I just have one progress here, which is rolling up the total hours read. So maybe you want to have a goal of 75 hours of reading per month. What I can do is grab the property hours from reading log, calculate the sum, and divide by 75. For workout sets, I have something similar for just the number of times I'm working out. So I'm grabbing that relation fitness and no properties. I'm just keeping the name. So I'm just collecting the sets and calculating count all sets. So 5 sets, I want to look at this in a bar and divide by the amount of workouts I want to do in a month, which is about 30. So that's how I'm able to do some analyzing. Now, as for knowledge management, I have a few different links. So first, let's take a look at web links. For each database view here, I have different types of web links. I have academic web links, maybe from websites that are journals or Google Scholar. I also have another section for just regular articles. Twitter, so tweets or different profiles I'm saving. Same goes for YouTube, categorized by video or channel that I'm saving. Also, just random images from the web. Some books that I may be grabbing from the web, and tools like Canva or Google AdSense. So I have a section for favorites as well. So whenever I select the favorite checkbox, all of these favorites will be quick linked here. And inside of gallery views, which is really nice, is you can show a property link through the card. So I don't have to navigate to the Canva card. I just have to click on this link here and it sends me to the website. So for all links, it's just a regular table. Now, like in most of my databases, if I want to archive a link, I can just press this archived checkbox like this. And this will send it to the archived section. So for web links, like most other databases here, I am connecting to the glossary. So I'm able to give it specific tags. So for space microbiology, let's just take a look at this page. I have a section for my favorite, which is a checkbox, the date of the web link, author's DOI link, if that's applicable, the link, the abstract, again, if that is relevant. And then I have created time, the location of the link. This is another formula where I'm just grabbing the core location of the URL. I also have a status menu. This is from not started to consuming the material, annotating, analyzing, and completed. I also have a type. So down in the body of the page, I could have the contents of the article in the body of the page. If you use Notion's native web clipper, which I'll link down in the description, you are able to transfer over the contents of any web links or articles into the body of the page. I also have a section for notebook. So my web links are connected to my notebook database. I have two other sections for Twitter and YouTube, which have additional properties. So you'll see that this is in a board view. Every one of these tweets is under the profile that the tweet is coming from. So my profile name being Gregory. This is my tweet. Now, how I'm able to do that is with a formula. So with every tweet link that you save, the link has some clues as to who tweeted it, and also what type of link we're dealing with. And that's how I'm able to determine that what was saved was a tweet by me. And you can also embed tweets in Notion. In the block menu, you can look for tweet. So in addition to web links, I'm connecting web links to my notebook. So if I want to cite any sources in my notebook, I can do that easily. Where I have my regular notes, if I go to new here, I have two different templates, one for a new lecture. This is for the students who want to duplicate this template, and one for just regular notes. So if I go into regular notes, there is nothing in the body of the page, but if I go to a new lecture, which is this database view up here, it does have some things in the body of the page. We have some key takeaways from the lecture, the date, and some notes, so a notes section. Now, as for these notes, you can open up this one here. We have the type being note or lecture, sources, which is a relation going back to web links, and I'm able to actually open that source link from my notes page, which is pretty cool. How I'm able to do this is if I go to the plus button in a relation property and go to customize shown properties, I can show properties from my Weblinks database. I also have a short description of this note. An understanding between 1 and 5 stars, which is especially helpful for lecture notes. A course relation to the courses database. This may not be useful for people who are not students, but if you are taking courses, I plan on taking courses online in the new year, just small courses. This will be helpful for me. I also have Glossary. Again, we're connecting to the Glossary to retrieve notes better. And then I have a files and media property, which is just like that book cover where I can collect images. So if there's any important figures or images to collect, I can collect them here. And then I have a checkbox for to research. So if I'm writing notes on something that I want to research further, I will select this checkbox. If I go back to my notebook database, I actually have a section for to research with checked to research checkboxes. Now down below, I also have a relation called related. So all my notes, of course, are in the body of the page. In related, I'm relating back to my notebook. So there's another note called the Carmen line that I have connected to this note. I can just click through and take a look at that, and then click back to Earth's upper atmosphere protection, which is also related. There's one last section here called add a to-do. So if you like adding to-do items from your notebook, especially if you're a student, if there's assignments during a particular lecture, so let's actually go back to the notebook and go to lectures. It is grouped by courses, so this being French 201. You can see that course relation here to French 201. I can go down to add to do, and let's say homework for French class. Right down here it says new homework for French class in to do. Can add that really quickly. I can open this up in the side peek and quickly add some information like a start and due date. Start working on it on the 4th. And I can even utilize this timesheet and give it some subtasks. And now we have a section here from notebook in this to-do where we can navigate back to the page here, French verbs. So let's take a look at the courses. And here you can just collect your courses, maybe the credits associated, the semester and year, professor, whatever it is scheduled for, whether it's Wednesday, 2:20 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Actually, that doesn't really make any sense. I should have maybe 4:30 p.m. The grade section here, which is just manual, put in the grade. It generates an American GPA and letter grade, so you can delete that if it doesn't apply. And building/room, so you can see what building it's in. What I also have is a section for today, so all the classes for today. What we have here is a scheduled for section, which is that drop-down menu. Say you are in this class from, actually I'm filming this on a Saturday, so let's just quickly put in Saturday space dash, let's say 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Just gonna add that. What will happen is the today at formula will see that you have a class scheduled for Saturday, today being Saturday, so today at from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. you should go to French 201. With this formula, what I can do is create another database view called today, which will now populate French 201. And that filter simply saying the today at formula is not empty. And then what I can do in the dashboard homepage next to get to work is all the classes that I need to do today, which is just linking to that database view. Filter again being today is not empty. And that is pretty much all of the knowledge management. Again, if you go back to Glossary, we'll be able to retrieve a lot of these notes via topics, themes, terms, categories, genres, or people. So that is basically it. Let's take a look at this dashboard. Like I said, I have a little quote up here, glossary link, 2023 countdown. I have some linked databases, one to everything I need to work on right now for my to-do list, classes, quick tasks as well. All the links to all my databases in the workplace here, productivity, tracking, and collecting. I also have a linked database to genres from my glossary, where I am again rolling up those book covers so I can quickly navigate to certain books through genres. I also have the countdown here. I also have a linked view of my shopping list. That's good for mobile, for quick access. And then I have the months database, where I am inputting and analyzing information for each month. And that is pretty much my entire dashboard. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that was useful. If you got some inspiration at the very least, template to duplicate is down in the description below. Hope you guys had a great 2022. I'm going to be making a lot more content next year, a lot more tutorials specifically. So I'm excited to get started on that. And I will see you guys next time and the rest of the week on Twitter. I'll see you then.